how can this possibly be allowable?
Well, I get why people get annoyed. Like all the figures you've just listed, they're valued at $1 trillion. I get why people are getting annoyed. But if you actually look behind the figures, in the UK, they only actually make a profit of 80 million, and that's what's taxed. And everything.
Of how many million did you say?
80 million.
80 million, right, yeah.
80 million in the UK,
yeah.
And corporation tax is only on profits. And everything they're doing is actually legal. And one of the main reasons for the lower tax bill this year is because they've increased the share-based payments for its staff. So they have 14,000 staff in the UK. So they're the big winners in this. The other winners in this are the consumers. So people moan about the high street going to the dogs, but actually Amazon,
which is true.
Which is true, and I get why people get sentimental about that. But the fact is that Amazon provide better products at lower prices, and I think that's good. So I think this is a win for consumers, and it's a win for staff.
Yeah, but if you were running a small business, as many people who are listening to this show do, and you had a profit of say £80,000, you would pay 20% tax on that as a corporation tax, right? Now they're not paying 20%. I mean, I would be quite happy if they were paying that. I'm not asking for them to be absolutely punitively treated any differently from anybody else. But if they were paying 20% on 80 million, then they would surely be paying the equivalent of £16 million in tax rather than 4.5.
What they are doing is legal. I do understand why small businesses do get frustrated, but perhaps the products they're selling aren't as good or they're more expensive. So I think the best example is probably something like Starbucks versus an independent coffee shop. I love independent coffee shops; they're great, but they are more expensive than Starbucks or Costa or Cafe Nero. And I think consumers should have the ability to choose between cheaper products.
No, I get all that, but can you explain why they do not pay corporation tax at 20% like everybody else does?
Because they structure it carefully, so they don't necessarily have to. And as I said, one of the main reasons is because they've started paying their staff more via shares, and that takes off their final bill.
Yeah. But in the end, you're talking about a profit which is taxable, right? I mean, I have a small business, for example. I get an accountant to do my end of year taxes. I declare a profit on which I pay 20%. Now, it doesn't matter which way you cut it. The profit is taxable at 20%. You can make all kinds of allowances for expenses. You can make all sorts of allowances for depreciation. You can do all of that, all the stuff that accountants do for all sorts of people in all sorts of walks of life. However, if you declare a profit, surely that is taxable at 20%. I don't see any way around that.
Everything they're doing is entirely legal, and I'm not too sure why people want to push.
No, I'm not. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing that it's not legal, Sophie. I'm asking you how they're doing it, because if they can do it and pay less than 10% in tax, then I'd quite like to do that as well.
But why would you want to? Why is this even a discussion? Why would you want to take, really good products at a cheap price off consumers? Why would you want to take that choice away?
That's not what I want to do. No, that's not. I'm asking you a straightforward question about the tax law. You can't answer it.
Well, no, I can. I explained exactly in the beginning.
No, you didn't. I'm telling you, if you declare a profit of however much it is, you write off all sorts of other things before you declare the profit. But once you declare the profit, that is taxable at 20% for everyone. So how are they getting away with it? That's my question.
Because I think we, the government, are letting them get away with it. I mean, Amazon are doing what big companies do, but we are letting them get away with it. I don't understand why we don't clamp down on them harder. I mean, a small business can't sort of like set up a company in Luxembourg, which is what Amazon have done, and funneled some of the making payments to this company, so they don't have as much profit.
Yeah, but I still come back to the same point. I'm sorry to labour it, Sophie and Dawn, but if you declare, you can do all sorts of things to reduce your profit so that you don't pay as much tax on the overall money that you're bringing in. Okay, I get all that. I absolutely get all that, because I have to do this myself every year. But once you've declared what your profit is, and as Sophie quite rightly says, it's a tiny amount compared to the billions that they actually turn over. It's a tiny amount. It's 80 million, but they should pay 20% on that. I don't understand why they don't.
But corporation tax is a tax on profits. It's not on the turnover.
Yeah, I know that, but you've told me that they make 80 million in profit. They should be paying 16 million, therefore, in tax.
But I don't really understand what the argument's over. What they're doing is completely legal. No one's saying...
I know it's legal, but you still haven't explained to me how they're getting away with paying such a small percentage of their profit in tax.
Well, because they employ tax advisors that help them manoeuvre around this. But
you need a better one by the sounds of it.
No, because every small business that is listening to this show will know precisely what I'm talking about. And I'm afraid, Sophie, you're not getting my point. I don't understand why they're doing it and how they're getting away with it.
Well, they're doing why they're doing it They say their consumers can have better products and they can pay their staff more in shares. I don't really understand why you'd want to give the government more money.
But when it comes to the staff issue,
I think it should be fair. That's all.
Yeah, and Amazon have used this as an excuse for themselves.
But what I don't think is fair is that with the hype before Amazon, people had to have a car to go out and get products from the high street, whereas now you can order. You imagine if you're a single mum, Mike, and you're at home and you can't go out to the shops. With Amazon,
Don't be ridiculous, Sophie. Don't talk absolute rot. Of course you can walk out. Of course you can go to the shops. What, before Amazon, nobody could get anything delivered to the house? Are you joking?
But it certainly makes it a lot cheaper, and I don't really understand why you'd want to penalise Amazon.
I'm not arguing about
their lower products.
Listen, it's a very straightforward conversation, this, Sophie, which you're complicating with your rather bizarre and arcane view of how capitalism should work. All I'm asking you is why is it possible for a big company like Amazon to be treated differently by HMRC than everybody else? And you can't answer that.
I don't think they overly are being treated. They're not being treated that differently.
They're being treated massively differently. They should be paying 16 million in tax. They're only paying 4. That means they're paying a quarter of what they actually should be paying.
So actually, when it comes down to it, all you're really fussed about is a difference of around about 14 million, because that's not really a lot.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's just forget about it, shall we? Let's just say to anyone that owes us 14 million, don't worry paying us. You carry on. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I get why people at the headline think this is unfair. But I think what isn't being talked about at all, as I've said, is the lower prices of the products. No one's thinking about that. And the point about the single mum is very valid, that before you would have to go to the shops and with a car, and that could be a massive stress. But Amazon does make your life easier, and it's cheaper.
Yeah, but Sophie, sorry to interrupt, but Sophie, the reason it's cheaper, and you mentioned the fact that they've paid shares to their employees, which is another way of decreasing their profits for tax reasons, is they pay their employees terrible. Well, I mean, it's just like they're using that as an excuse because they pay their employees terrible, and the working conditions are some of the worst of any company in this country. I mean, they have timed loo breaks. If they don't pack so many items, they get a sack. And, it's just...
But people are choosing to do those jobs.
Well, because a lot of people don't have a lot of choice, I guess. But, I mean, you wouldn't choose to do that. I mean, it's, they regularly have ambulances called.
You might not. I
mean, Sophie, you're defending Amazon when actually that's not the position that anybody is trying to support. Nobody's complaining about what Amazon does and how they do it. It's all about the tax they pay. It's as simple as that. It's not a question of whether we have Amazon or we don't. That's the sort of argument that people make when they say, "Oh, well, we'll just shut down the company." I mean, think Jeff Bezos wants to shut Amazon down? He might want to build another clock in the desert.
But what I'm saying is, if you penalise Amazon with perhaps sort of particularly high tax rates, what would happen is you would see the increase in prices and people wouldn't have access.
I don't agree. I think that's absolute and utter tosh. The point about Amazon is that they're already being treated differently from everybody else. Yeah. All we're asking is that they get treated the same. Well, that's all.
Marks and Spencer's, John Lewis, Dixon's, Carphone, they all pay their proper taxes.
Well, Amazon have a different model, and
why are they allowed to have a different model?
In my view, it's working pretty well. Amazon's great. You get really cheap products, and as I said, it really helps the people who have mobility issues.
Well, I'm afraid you're not working on the Twitter front, I'm afraid, Sophie. People are giving you lots of abuse, saying you're talking absolute rubbish. Because you are. I mean, it's all very well. It's all. I know you can take it. It's very good. The point is, surely the government is out of order here. The government are listening to people like you, perhaps, and thinking, oh, dear, if we start taxing them the way we tax everybody else. And it really is unfair on an awful lot of small businesses, because Amazon have the ability to squeeze small business. Amazon have the ability... Hang on. Amazon have the ability to use their power, to use their size, to use their sort of behemoth-like strategy to put everybody else out of business. And it's very unfair on other businesses who cannot compete with them, particularly because they pay less tax.
Well, one of the reasons why people are getting angry from what I can see on Twitter is because they're sort of complaining they're not paying that much in business rates. But Amazon don't actually have a lot of square footage. So I think Tesco comparatively pay about 150 million in business rates, whereas I think Amazon only pay about 11 million. But that's because they just have smaller factories and there's a lot more space taken up by the Tesco.
I thought they had the biggest warehouse in Europe somewhere up near Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
But as a square foot, like overall, Tesco shops compared to Amazon, they're significantly smaller.
But they managed to put Tesco Direct out of business. And one of the reasons Tesco Direct went out of business is because it was more expensive for them to run their delivery systems than it was for Amazon to run theirs. Because not only of economies of scale, but also because they pay less tax. It's a very simple equation.
But the result of that, like, is that people get cheaper products. This is what I'm saying. Like, I think that's good. Like, you want cheap products. And, that makes
to be honest, you don't actually. If I want to buy a set of Bose headphones from Tesco Direct, as it once was, or I want to buy a pair of Bose headphones. Don't talk over me, please, Sophie. There's no point. It doesn't work on radio. The point is, if you want Bose headphones, right, you buy them from Tesco Direct or you buy them from Amazon. It's the same price. It makes no difference.
But you've just used the example of Bose headphones, Mike.
Yeah.
Most people in this country can't afford to pay 50 quid at the end of a month if it was by surprise.
Really?
And the Bose headphones are a luxury. They're a luxury item. Like, I don't think that's particularly the best example.
All right. Well, give me a good example of where Amazon can sell you something cheaper than you can get it anywhere else.
I don't know. You can buy.
Like what?
Amazon has everything.
Like
Books.
what? Like what? Books. What? You can get books at Amazon from Amazon for cheaper than you get them anywhere else. Are you sure?
Yes, you can do it in Waterstones, yes.
Really?
W.H. Smith, you can get really cheap books.
Or mugs or anything.
Mugs?
That's why they're doing so well.
You could get cheap mugs at Amazon that you can't buy anywhere else.
What I'm saying is they, on average, they have lower price products because...
Well, you're not giving me any evidence of that. I don't think that's true.
Well, I think that's quite facetious.
Facetious?
The thing is, the way...
Well, give me a couple of facts and then I won't be so facetious.
I gave you plenty of facts.
You told me that I can buy cheap mugs and I can buy cheap books at Amazon. I know exactly where I can buy cheap mugs and cheap books elsewhere.
Yes, but you might be able to get there.
What do you mean?
Via a car.
Well, there are buses, there are tubes,
mobile.
there are trains. I mean, you're making it sound as though before Amazon we were all living in caves and we didn't know what to do with ourselves.
And other companies do deliver things as well.
Do have a care.
But what is your main issue, though?
Tax. My main issue, I thought I'd made that clear, Sophie. It's about tax. They don't pay enough tax. They should pay more tax.
But why? Is that a fairness
Because
thing?
everybody else pays 20% on corporation tax and they don't.
But I mean, I don't know.
That's
I don't
in a nutshell.
Well, I'm still a fan of Amazon because they produce good products at lower prices, and I think that's better for everyone.
Would you rather they paid no tax? Maybe they shouldn't pay any tax at all. How would that be with you?
Well, that is an argument. Although I think that would give them an unfair advantage compared to its competitors.
I see.
There is a way around it. We could all just boycott Amazon and go to our local high street.
Well, I'm not sure for that. I don't want to put them out of business.
But we have the choice to do that. So if you really don't want to use Amazon, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that people are, and they're using it because it's good.
They are.
So,
listen, it's a great service. I've got no problem with what Amazon does, and I think they do it very well. But I just think they ought to pay the same amount of tax as everybody else does. It's that simple, Sophie. It's really that simple.
Well, I don't know. Maybe take it up with a tax advisor. But,
okay, then.
But from
I'll do
what
that.
I can see,
I'll do that.